I'm just going to do a little tour of my studio now, just to show how it's laid out and organized. What we're looking at here is what I call central or master control, if you like. This is the central table in my studio. And to the left of this, I've got what I call my left-hand side synth technology, and on the right hand side of this I've got my right hand side synth technology. We'll talk about those in a minute. But this is the basic studio concept here. This is what I call master control, and I've got various things here, and I'll come in closer and run through all these in a bit more detail shortly. Essentially, there's two very powerful computers here, both quad-core machines, and there's an additional 4 computers actually in the form of an iPad and 3 towers down here, which form the basis of a very powerful computer system consisting of 6 computers actually. So moving over to the left, we'll just sort of pan this over to the left here. This is over here what I called my left-hand side synthesis system, if you like. So this is all the equipment that's essentially 90 degrees to the left of my master control. Here I've got a Kurzweil PC3K6, which is essentially a very powerful workstation sampler. It's got a huge number of voices. The Polyphony is really powerful. It's got 16 effects processors. It's got Core 64 expansion. It's got about 5,000 patches in it, which are extraordinary and come from the new range of Kurzweil sounds. Here I've got a Roland JD800, Kawai K5000W and a Korg DW8000. This is my main controller that I use, an M-Audio Axiom 61. On top, I've got a half-space rack here, which works really well. I've got a piece of timber on the top with various items up here. This is a CD-ROM drive, which actually it's connected to the E5000. This is the left-hand mixer, and it's analog. And it's a 16-channel mixer over here, and I've got another 16-channel mixer on the right-hand side, which we'll look at shortly, and I've also got another mixer in the central master control area. In the rack, I've got a compressor downward expander, which actually goes between this and the digital mixer over here. Here I've got a Kurzweil K2500R, which is an amazing Kurzweil from that era, and it's also got a CD-ROM drive over here as well. This is a hard drive which is also connected to the 2500, but both of these machines have got internal hard drives, and they've all been maxed out with everything. They've got all the polyphony and memory and expansions, so they're fantastic. I've got 1,000 CD-ROMs for these machines, which happen to cover 4 libraries: Kurzweil, Emulator, Akai and Roland. So these 2 machines are smart enough to actually read 4 libraries between them, which is pretty extraordinary. Here I've got various interfaces and things, and cassette machine. I've got a proper cassette recorder down there, CD player here. There's a series of MIDI interfaces down here, and of course a headphone amplifier system, which is really great as well. So this forms what I call my left-hand side. Now we're going to look at the central control area here. And I'll just move in. I think it might be a good idea to just sort of move in and give you a slightly closer look at everything here. So over here is a trackball mouse. This is my little Oratone single speaker. It carries a left plus right mix also. I like mixing on that at very low volume. It's really excellent. Behind there is a volume control which is in series with this, which is a Boss RC3 loop station, which is fantastic for just looping any ideas that I might get. I don't have to switch any computers on or do anything like that. I can simply, the loop station is picking up the signal from every keyboard in this room, so that's very cool for just doing stuff with and just laying down ideas. To a click track as well, it's got a built-in click. I can transfer them to a computer as well. This is PreSonus Atom, which is like a rhythm controller. It's like a drum pad. It's really great to play. This is the main central digital mixer, which is 24 channels expanded out with another 8 to 32. So I've actually got 64 channels of mixing total in this room, which is very good. This is a QWERTY keyboard that's wireless, that's connected to my mobile phone and also this iPad. So it just makes it all a bit easier to use. Here are my VU meters, which basically give me the reference signal of the entire studio. It's showing me what the reference signal is. In the center here, this is a special QWERTY keyboard designed for Studio One, so it's got all the shortcuts and everything imprinted on it, which is very cool. This is a PreSonus Faderport 8, which is a fantastic controller that's linked directly to the software on this machine up here. So this enables me full mixer control over everything. These two monitors form my basic system in terms of monitoring. This one often showing the arrange page, and this one of course displaying the mixer pages. Over on the right here we have a mouse pad, of course, for the main machine. This is an iPad which is inside a dock. The dock's very cool because it gives me all the inputs and outputs, and also the D to A conversion is happening in the dock, which is very nice, and it's much higher quality. I've got 6 really great synthesizers on that machine in terms of software instruments. Software instruments wise, on this I've probably got over 200 synths in terms of software, so I'm very well equipped there. There's another 6 on there. Coming around here, there's a microphone on a stand, which is handy for podcasting and doing Zoom meetings and stuff. There's 4 drives inside my main computer, and the main computer lives down here in this box. That's a Windows 7 machine, very fast quad-core processor. Here is the iMac system, and it's a completely separate system as well. This is the QWERTY keyboard for that, Atom SQ, PreSonus, and here is my Focusrite interface, which connects to this computer. So this is pretty well the central, like, master control system, if you will. I'll just show it one more time there, and you can see everything pretty well. So you've got digital mixing over here, got a small speaker here, and the system is basically computers, control surfaces and various things. Second computer system here as well. So let's have a look at what's on the right hand side of my studio. Is a completely separate rig, and this is what I use when I'm actually performing in my electronic music ensemble, which is called Electronica. And we'll be doing Tangerine Dream-like live music. So my live rig basically consists of this iMac here, which is easily transportable, and this rack here, this is a 12 space rack, which is equipped with some really beautiful instruments as well. And I've got the Roland V synth here and the Moog Voyager, which I've recently just acquired. So there we go. They are connected up, these machines. So I'll do another video, I think, talking about demonstrating the sounds of all the modules, because I think that's just a totally separate thing, I'd imagine. So over here is another 16 channel analog mixer, Midas, very high quality, and it mixes all of these keyboard racks and synths and the ADAT machine as well in there. So in here I've got a Yamaha Motive Rack ES, which is a really amazing module. It's got thousands of patches in it and it sounds fantastic. Down here a Roland JV2080, which is just a really fantastic machine, always has been. It's got room for 8 expansions. I've got 5 in it currently at the moment, which is really good. This is a Korg 03RW, which is from that whole Korg M1, M1R, 01V, 01R sort of series. It's very digital, and it's loud and proud digital. These two modules can sound very warm though, but they're also very digital when they want to be. I've got a digital ADAT recorder here, which can record and play back 8 tracks and do lots of things with this system here. Down here is a compressor and a noise reducing device, and underneath this is a Behringer Virtualizer Pro, which is a beautiful effects processor which is connected to this mixer. So all the synths in this mixer can access this effects processor down here. Right down on the floor there you'll see a Roland RE20. This is the Space Echo simulation pedal, and it looks and sounds and feels exactly like a Roland Space Echo. It's just awesome. So when I go out and do a live gig, I take out basically the computer here, this rack, that mixer, and this keyboard here. I probably wouldn't take the Voyager onto a gig necessarily. I just feel that it's probably best left at home, but if I were to transport that around, I would have to use a very big road case, I think. Also in this rack down here, you can't see it, but there's a Dr. Synth. It's a Boss sound canvas. It's a Roland sound canvas. So one should just talk about the polyphony, for example, of how powerful this system is. And I'll just explain that. For example, if you just look over here, for example, if you were to add up the polyphony in terms of how many layers of music one can get just on this left-hand side of the studio alone, this rack here and both of these modules here and the Kurzweil up there are 16 track, they can reproduce 16 parts multi-timbrally. In other words, between those 3 devices, I've got 48 channels of layers of music. It's like having 48 musicians. So I can get 48 things playing at once just with those 3 devices there. Now this is an interesting device because the Kawai can handle 32 channels of multi-timbral sequencing. It's got 2 MIDI inputs and it's got a huge polyphony and it handles that as well. So when you put that together, you've got actually 80 channels of polyphony just over on this side here. The JD800 only does 6 channels of polyphony, and the Korg DW8000 can only do 1 sound at a time, albeit a fantastic one. So strictly speaking, I've got 87 layers of music just on this side of the room. 87 layers of music. Now over here, This side is way powerful as well because every single thing here has got a huge amount of multi-timbral capability. These 4 synths in the rack here all handle 16 channels of multi-timbral performances, and that does as well. So you've actually got something like 80 channels of polyphony on this side of the room, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. The Moog only does one thing at a time, so alright, it's an extra one maybe, but if you think about it, even before I switch a single software instrument on, I've got close to 170 layers of music being handled by the right-hand side of the studio, which you can see there, and of course all of this over here as well. So it's just sheer polyphonic power at its best. And if you start counting the software instruments that you're going to be available in here, well, you know, I could have probably 8 or 10 synthesizers on both of these computers actually playing at the same time with huge amounts of polyphony. So there's probably another 160 parts that you could probably do there. So there it is. It's just a basic little tour of my setup, and I hope you find it interesting. I will do a separate video, I think, on the instruments, and I'll play everything. That's probably a good idea. And I'll create a piece of music as well, maybe just sort of demonstrating all that. So there we go.